Yo, today we're going to be looking at a gaming chair from the company Neo Chair. This chair also happens to be an official Marvel licensed gaming chair. The inner comic book nerd in me is really geeking out, especially since Spider-Man was always one of my favorite superheroes growing up. So I'm stoked to show this one to you. I'm going to cover a few elements about the chair, such as the looks, comfort, and ergonomics, the build quality, and the features, all of which will be available as the chapters in the timeline. This chair was sent to me by Neo Chairs to review, but this isn't a paid promotion. If they do offer me a referral link or discount code at some point in the future after this video goes live, because I don't currently have one, I'll make sure to include it in the description down below, but I'll also make sure that it's very clear if I receive any commissions for those things. The chair I'll be looking at today is their Spider-Man Gaming Chair G-Wrap M, and it sells for $229.98 at the time of this video. They have multiple superheroes represented in chair form on their site, such as Captain America, Iron Man, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and even Deadpool. They also offer office-style chairs and stools. The G-Wrap M is appropriate for people 71 to 83 inches, and it has a max weight capacity of 330 pounds. They also have some smaller chairs with the same design that seem to have lower weight tolerances and slight design changes. I'm 5'11 and 215 pounds, and I found this model to fit me pretty good. The chair they sent me is made of PU leather or polyurethane leather. Essentially, it's fake leather, and they don't seem to have a cloth alternative. This is what it looks like when someone my size sits in the chair. I absolutely love the way this chair looks. Obviously, you'd have to be a pretty big fan of Spider-Man to be into the design, but if you're not into Spider-Man, then I'm not sure why you'd even consider this in the first place. When I showed this chair off over on Twitch, where I stream 3 days a week, links in the description, it was the obvious crowd favorite in terms of looks, and everyone who saw it in the background of the stream asked me questions about it and wanted to see it up close. They absolutely killed it with the design of this chair, and it really feels like they placed the right elements from Spider-Man's costume in the right places for the chair. The holes at the top of the chair are shaped like Spidey's eyes, and I thought that was actually one of my favorite things about the design. It's unfortunate, though, that if you decide to use a head pillow, it completely covers this element up. The colors in the chair are vibrant, and they seem accurate to the source material. The black stitching also is the perfect accent to depict the iconic webs from the costume. But if I had to nitpick, I would have preferred that they didn't put the large Marvel logo on the top of the chair's front and just went with the one on the back. It's a little distracting. The red accents on the base of the chair also complement the theme nicely. As a side note, if you see some blemishes on the chair during this video, I take full responsibility for that. The chair arrived packaged well with no damage, but since putting it together and filming this video, the cats have definitely found their way to certain parts of it, so you can thank them for that. For being so affordable, I thought that this chair was surprisingly comfortable. The PU leather is fine enough for the price, but it's not the softest fake leather that I've ever felt, and also I'm just not a fan of PU leather, as it feels like it doesn't last as long as I'd like, and it doesn't tend to breathe as well as mesh or cloth. Because sure enough, sitting in this chair for a couple hours, I noticed my lower back was getting pretty warm. The cushion in the seat portion was soft and my body sank into it, but not so much that it felt mushy. It still feels like it supported my body. The chair also avoids using the aggressive side wings that you often see in gaming chairs, and that is a huge plus for me. This means that I'm able to move around in the chair without feeling restricted, and it's not pushing into my hips. I'm also able to adopt various sitting positions, like one leg under the other, or even both legs up in a cross-leg position. Although when I do this, it pushes the armrest out, which is something that I'll address later. The top portion of the chair does have some slightly aggressive wings in the shoulder area, and I did feel like this pushed on my shoulders more than I would have liked. They aren't actively pushing my shoulders forward, but they are noticeable. The upper portion of the chair also has what you'd expect from a chair of this style in terms of back support. It's not conforming to your back, but it's not pushing against it in an uncomfortable way either. The chair is able to recline much further than I'd ever recommend, and much further than I trust the chair. This chair also uses pillows for the lumbar and head/neck support, and as usual, I'm not a fan of it. They didn't feel comfortable to me, and I preferred sitting in the chair without them. The rest have a padding on top which is soft to the touch and a curved design that seems meant to cradle your arm. I can see why they do that, but I actually would have preferred a flat surface as not everyone's arms are the same size. Overall, I think that for the price, the comfort of this chair is more than I expected and seems like a great selling point. I can't speak to how long the cushions will last, but because they aren't too soft, I'd like to think that they'd have a decently long lifespan. The build quality of the chair is where most of my gripes with this chair are. It's not that it's built poorly, it's just that you have to adjust your expectations to align with the price point of this chair. The stability really suffers with this chair. When sitting in the chair and pulling myself across the carpeted room, I found that it frequently wanted to tip forward. The balance of the chair seems off, and this happened enough times that I stopped blaming myself. The wheels are all right on carpet, but nothing too impressive, and I wish they handled it a bit better. The frame of the chair is made of metal, and it can be felt when squeezing the sides of the chair as the padding is not that thick in those areas. Assembly time wasn't horrendous, but it took longer than some of the more expensive chairs I've put together. I will say though, this company has really paid attention to the details. Check out the instruction manual for the chair. The assembly instructions are laid out like a comic book, and I thought that this was so cool and such a great detail. As an adult, I was geeking out about this, and if I was a kid, I would have been blown away. Gaming chairs normally have an expected amount of free play when locked in position because of the way that they lock, but I felt like this chair had a little bit more than usual. The internal components of the armrest feel like cheaper plastic, and the base and wheels are also made of plastic. All of these complaints though are me being hypercritical, and with the exception of the potential for tipping over if moving too fast or reclining too far, I think that the overall build quality of the chair is about what I would expect for a chair at this price. When I talk about features in a chair, I'm referring to the adjustability, lumbar support, and anything else that's added in. For this chair, they go with a lumbar and neck pillows strapped to the chair with an elastic band. I don't like this method, and I always end up taking it off. This is the biggest complaint that I have with gaming chairs, and it's something that I wish they'd brainstorm to fix. This chair does break from the norm a bit though, and includes a vibration function in the lumbar pillow. I fully expected this to be a gimmick, and I still kind of think it is, but I will say that the intensity of the vibration is much stronger than I was expecting. It doesn't massage into your lower back though, it just vibrates. You also can't adjust the intensity, it's an on or off thing. Also, it has to be plugged in via USB, and while the cable is decently long, at my desk it wasn't quite long enough, and if I wanted to have it plugged in, I'd have to stay pretty close to the desk. It's a neat feature, but I wouldn't say it's something to pick the chair over. The armrests are adjustable up and down and diagonally. This is better than not being adjustable at all, but with no locking mechanism for the diagonal movement, I kept accidentally adjusting it by moving around in the chair and pushing it into a new position. This went from inconvenient to annoying pretty quick. In a more expensive chair, you're going to see 4D adjustable armrests, which allow you to have movement forward and back and left and right as well. You can adjust the seat's height, and you can lock and unlock the tilt mechanism. And that tilt mechanism also has a knob to adjust the resistance with the tilt. One thing to note though is that you can only lock the tilt in the upright position. So if you want to tilt back a little and lock it in place, you're not going to be able to do that. At my height, when I started to recline, my feet started to come off the ground, which made it a little hard to recline any further or keep myself in a reclined position. The warranty on this chair is more like a refund policy, and that is for 30 days. On their website, it states that when you order the chair, the shipping is free, but you should know that if you decide to return the chair for any reason, you have to pay for shipping. Also, at the time, it looks like they only ship to the US, but they mentioned that you can work with freight forwarding agencies if you want to pay for it, but it sounds like that would be pretty expensive. I didn't find any info on where the chair was made, but their headquarters are in the US. So the final thing to address is, would I recommend the chair? Yeah, I would. I think that for the price point, I didn't experience anything that surprised me too much, with the exception of the instability when rolling around. There are definitely some features missing that I would have personally wanted in the chair, but that's typical when looking at chairs at this price point. You pay for those features. I will say though, that I have another chair that is priced similar to this one, and this one blows it out of the water in every way, which is why I was pleasantly surprised by the chair. If you're a huge fan of Spider-Man and you've been looking for an affordable way to add a cool conversation starter to your setup, then I think that this is the perfect chair for you. Literally everyone who sees it mentions how cool they think it is or how they want it. If the features and price match what you're looking for in a chair and you're okay with the cons that I described, then go ahead and click the link in the description. After a huge disclaimer, the downside to doing an initial impression review like this is I can't comment on the longevity of the chair. I don't know how it's gonna feel in 2 years. So if you own one of these chairs by this brand and you've had it for a while, I'd love to read your experiences in the comments, and I know that other viewers would find it helpful as well. If you found this video helpful, I'd love to see you in the next video, and the best way to make sure that that happens is to subscribe to the channel. Because as my uncle once said, with great power comes great responsibility. I swear he said that. Peace!